Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. It's your boy AntWestFitnessBB, and you're back again with another live stream. If you're watching this at a later time, then you're back again with another video. I just wanted to take the time to say thank you for stopping by the stream. I have been really busy the last couple of days, so I've been sorry that I didn't get to stream yesterday. But for the people that did support me, that said, take your time, take a break if you need to, that was great. I'm gonna definitely try to kick things into gear this week for sure. Also, to keep in mind before I start. Going on a tangent a little too much. Just keep in mind, like I was outside a lot yesterday, so my allergies kind of kicked back in. It's not like I'm like sick or anything, but my nose is like really. I can feel like my nose is a little swollen from the pollen, and my throat is a little crackly. So I do apologize if I sound a little different, but nonetheless. Thank you for the people that once again told me to take a break. I'm definitely going to try to kick things off into gear this week because I really want to get serious about this. We're already halfway through the month of Ramadan, and we still got like a lot of chapters to go. And I know for a fact that most of the chapters at the end are going to be very short. So I mean, obviously, I'm going to compile a couple of those chapters together as soon as they get shorter, like 15 to 20 minutes a piece. I'm going to probably start compiling them together. And also I'm going to start recording more videos again because I know a lot of people, we did the little, the vote thing. Actually, let me pull that up, real quick here. We did a vote. So I did a bit of a, poll, like probably like a couple of, almost a couple of weeks ago. And so if you look here, as you can see, it's going to be a little reflective. But I said, what would you rather have? Would you rather have, do I just, I just like stream, I like the streams, baby, or I just like to watch videos? We got 100 votes in total, and 100 votes so far. 18% of people said they like streams, and 82% of people said they just like the videos. So, of course, like, obviously the videos win on that regard. So when Ramadan is over, I'll probably go back to making videos solely and reaction videos and exercise videos and all the good stuff that I've been planning to do. So that's probably just going to be my goal. So that's just my goal for right now. And all that good, all the fun jazz and things like that. If you are watching this video a little bit later, I do apologize because I know for some people, I think like they're in Japan, or if they're not in Japan, but like if they're in the Far East. I do know that it's around this time. This is probably right after iftar. So, thank you so much for stopping by the stream. If you do stop by the stream, or in general, if you hadn't stopped by, I appreciate you like at least clicking on the video and rewatching it. But once again, a lot of stuff to come this upcoming few weeks. We got a couple of weeks. We got 2 weeks left until Ramadan is over, and I'm actually very surprised. Like we're almost there. Like we're literally almost there, and it's been a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a struggle. The second week was a little bit even a little bit more of a struggle, I will say, than the first week. But I'm appreciating that I have the discipline to like kind of maintain myself, not to eat throughout the day, and wait till night to eat. So I really like that part about myself, and yeah, man, it's just great. It's just a great feeling that I have that self control. I don't think I've had this much self control over my body. For a long time now, and it's just a good feeling that I'm able to actually, surpass expectations and actually work through this because I've never really had this much discipline in my life. And this is why I entered Islam also, is because I want the discipline. I want things to change. I want to be more devout. I want to work harder. So, not only can I upload content, but when I start going to the gym again, I'll lose the weight. I want to take more classes for different things so that way I can learn more and expand my knowledge of Islam, and not just Islam, but other things that's going to help me along my career as well. So it's going to be very beneficial. So we got somebody in the chat. Thank you, Katawat. Kahat Katat Hawat. Thank you for stopping by. Sorry for butchering your name. Good morning. Good morning. I'm from Syria and living in Abu Dhabi in UAE. That is a beautiful thing, man. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Man, I heard you're from Syria. Wow, man. Thank you for stopping by the stream. I really do appreciate that. Means a lot to me. And you live in Dubai, UAE. That's beautiful. But nonetheless, I'm going to probably start reading the chapters back to back. We're gonna start from chapter 11 Hud today, so that's probably the next chapter we're gonna focus on here. So yeah, we're gonna focus on this chapter, and I thank anybody for stopping by the stream at a later time to rewatch this video. Once again, we're gonna kind of keep it brief. This one is a little bit it's the same length, pretty much 46 minutes. I want to try to watch the majority of it. If I do have like some questions, and I'm probably gonna stop and stop reading and ask the questions, or kind of like get what's off, or not ask the questions, but ask the question in a sense, and then kind of get what's on my mind off of my mind. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm not going to waste too much more time. That's what I had to say. So the prelude to this one is that it says, this Meccan chapter is after the prophet Hud, whose story is mentioned in verses 50 through 60. More details are given about Noah in this chapter than the previous chapter in 7. Just like previous chapter, the stories of destroyed believers are meant to deter the Arab pagans and reassure that the prophet of his ultimate triumph and reference is made to the reward of the believers and the punishment of the disbelievers in the hereafter. So that's going to be dope. No problem. No problem. No problem. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you for the love, Habibi. Appreciate you. All right. So nonetheless, this is going to talk more about Noah, and it's going to go into more details. It's also going to once again bring up the Arab pagans and how to reassure them that the prophet is going to have ultimate triumph, and he's going to be the, person that brings order to this. And yeah, and it's talk about the reward for the believers and the punishment for the disbelievers. So kind of the same theme, it seems like. In total, how many pages is this? I'm not trying to skip the pages, but I really like to skip ahead a little bit and figure out how many pages we got. So in total, we have four pages in total, and so, which is not too bad, but I can see why it's going to be a little short. So nonetheless, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Once again, this is chapter 11, Hud. Let's see what this is about. Oh, also, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All right, now we're good.
ألف لام را كتاب أحكمت آياته ثم فصلت من لدن حكيم خبير ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إنني لكم منه نذير وبشير وأن استغفروا ربكم ثم توبوا إليه يمتعكم متاعا حسنا إلى أجل مسمى ويؤت كل ذي فضل فضله وإن تولوا فإني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم كبير إلى الله مرجعكم وهو على كل شيء قدير ألا إنهم يثنون صدورهم ليستخفوا منه ألا حين يستغشون ثيابهم يعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون إنه عليم بذات الصدور وما من دابة في الأرض إلا على الله رزقها ويعلم مستقرها ومستودعها كل في كتاب مبين وهو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام وكان عرشه على الماء ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا ولئن قلت إنكم مبعوثون من بعد الموت ليقولن الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا سحر مبين ولئن أخرنا عنهم العذاب إلى أمة معدودة ليقولن ما يحبسه ألا يوم يأتيهم ليس مصروفا عنهم وحاق بهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون ولئن أذقنا الإنسان منا رحمة ثم نزعناها منه إنه ليئوس كفور ولئن أذقناه نعماء بعد ضراء مسته ليقولن ذهب السيئات عني إنه لفرح فخور إلا الذين صبروا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير فلعلك تارك بعض ما يوحى إليك وضائق به صدرك أن يقولوا لولا أنزل عليه كنز أو جاء معه ملك إنما أنت نذير والله على كل شيء وكيل أم يقولون افتراه قل فأتوا ب10 سور مثله مفتريات وادعوا من استطعتم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين فإن لم يستجيبوا لكم فاعلموا أنما أنزل بعلم الله وأن لا إله إلا هو فهل أنتم مسلمون من كان يريد الحياة الدنيا وزينتها نوف إليهم أعمالهم فيها وهم فيها لا يبخسون أولئك الذين ليس لهم في الآخرة إلا النار وحبط ما صنعوا فيها وباطل ما كانوا يعملون أفمن كان على بينة من ربه ويتلوه شاهد منه ومن قبله كتاب موسى إماما ورحمة أولئك يؤمنون به ومن يكفر به من الأحزاب فالنار موعده فلا تك في مرية منه إنه الحق من ربك ولكن أكثر الناس لا يؤمنون ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا أولئك يعرضون على ربهم ويقول الأشهاد هؤلاء الذين كذبوا على ربهم ألا لعنة الله على الظالمين الذين يصدون عن سبيل الله ويبغونها عوجا وهم بالآخرة هم كافرون أولئك لم يكونوا معجزين في الأرض وما كان لهم من دون الله من أولياء يضاعف لهم العذاب ما كانوا يستطيعون السمع وما كانوا يبصرون أولئك الذين خسروا أنفسهم وضل عنهم ما كانوا يفترون لا جرم أنهم في الآخرة هم الأخسرون إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وأخبتوا إلى ربهم أولئك أصحاب الجنة هم فيها خالدون مثل الفريقين كالأعمى والأصم والبصير والسميع هل يستويان مثلا أفلا تذكرون ولقد أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه إني لكم نذير مبين ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم أليم فقال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه ما نراك إلا بشرا مثلنا وما نراك اتبعك إلا الذين هم أراذلنا بادي الرأي وما نرى لكم علينا من فضل بل نظنكم كاذبين قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي وآتاني رحمة من عنده فعميت عليكم أنلزمكموها وأنتم لها كارهون ويا قوم لا أسألكم عليه مالا إن أجري إلا على الله وما أنا بطارد الذين آمنوا إنهم ملاقو ربهم ولكني أراكم قوما تجهلون ويا قوم من ينصرني من الله إن طردتهم أفلا تذكرون ولا أقول لكم عندي خزائن الله ولا أعلم الغيب ولا أقول إني ملك ولا أقول للذين تزدري أعينكم لن يؤتيهم الله خيرا الله أعلم بما في أنفسهم إني إذا لمن الظالمين قالوا يا نوح قد جادلتنا فأكثرت جدالنا فأتنا بما تعدنا إن كنت من الصادقين قال إنما يأتيكم به الله إن شاء وما أنتم بمعجزين ولا ينفعكم نصحي إن أردت أن أنصح لكم إن كان الله يريد أن يغويكم هو ربكم وإليه ترجعون أم يقولون افتراه قل إن افتريته فعلي إجرامي وأنا بريء مما تجرمون وأوحي إلى نوح أنه لن يؤمن من قومك إلا من قد آمن فلا تبتئس بما كانوا يفعلون واصنع الفلك بأعيننا ووحينا ولا تخاطبني في الذين ظلموا إنهم مغرقون ويصنع الفلك وكلما مر عليه ملأ من قومه سخروا منه قال إن تسخروا منا فإنا نسخر منكم كما تسخرون فسوف تعلمون من يأتيه عذاب يخزيه ويحل عليه عذاب مقيم حتى إذا جاء أمرنا وفارت النور قل نحمل فيها من كل زوجين اثنين وأهلك إلا من سبق عليه القول وما آمن معه إلا قليل وقال اركبوا فيها بسم الله مجريها ومرساها إن ربي لغفور رحيم وهي تجري بهم في موج كالجبال ونادى نوح ابنه وكان في معزل يا بني اركب معنا ولا تكن مع الكافرين. قال سآوي إلى جبل يعصمني من الماء قال لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله إلا من رحم وحال بينهما الموج فكان من المغرقين. وقيل يا أرض ابلعي ماءك ويا سماء أقلعي وغيض الماء وقضي الأمر واستوت على الجودي وقيل بعدا للقوم الظالمين. ونادى نوح ربه فقال رب إن ابني من أهلي وإن وعدك الحق وأنت أحكم الحاكمين. قال يا نوح إنه ليس من أهلك إنه عمل غير صالح فلا تسألني ما ليس لك به علم إني أعظك أن تكون من الجاهلين. قال رب إني أعوذ بك أن أسألك ما ليس لي به علم وإلا تغفر لي وترحمني أكن من الخاسرين. قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى ممن معك وأمم سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم. تلك من أنباء الغيب نوحيها إليك ما كنت تعلمها أنت ولا قومك من قبل هذا فاصبر إن العاقبة للمتقين. وإلى عاد أخاهم هودا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره إن أنتم إلا مفترون. يا قوم لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إن أجري إلا على الذي فطرني أفلا تعقلون. ويا قوم استغفروا ربكم ثم توبوا إليه يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا ويزدكم قوة إلى قوتكم ولا تتولوا مجرمين. قالوا يا هود ما جئتنا ببينة وما نحن بتاركي آلهتنا عن قولك وما نحن لك بمؤمنين. إن نقول إلا اعتراك بعض آلهتنا بسوء قال إني أشهد الله واشهدوا أني بريء مما تشركون من دونه فكيدوني جميعا ثم لا تنظرون إني توكلت على الله ربي وربكم ما من دابة إلا هو آخذ بناصيتها إن ربي على صراط مستقيم فإن تولوا فقد أبلغتكم ما أرسلت به إليكم ويستخلف ربي قوما غيركم ولا تضرونه شيئا إن ربي على كل شيء حفيظ ولما جاء أمرنا نجينا هودا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا ونجيناهم من عذاب غليظ وتلك عاد جحدوا بآيات ربهم وعصوا رسله واتبعوا أمر كل جبار عنيد وأتبعوا في هذه الدنيا لعنة ويوم القيامة ألا إن عادا كفروا ربهم ألا بعدا لعاد قوم هود وإلى ثمود أخاهم صالحا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره هو أنشأكم من الأرض واستعمركم فيها فاستغفروه ثم توبوا إليه إن ربي قريب مجيب قالوا يا صالح قد كنت فينا مرجوا قبل هذا أتنهانا أن نعبد ما يعبد آباؤنا وإننا لفي شك مما تدعونا إليه مريب قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي وآتاني منه رحمة فمن ينصرني من الله إن عصيته فما تزيدونني غير تخسير ويا قوم هذه ناقة الله لكم آية فذروها تأكل في أرض الله ولا تمسوها بسوء فيأخذكم عذاب قريب فعقروها فقال تمتعوا في داركم 3 أيام ذلك وعد غير مكذوب فلما جاء أمرنا نجينا صالحا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا ومن خزي يومئذ إن ربك هو القوي العزيز. وأخذ الذين ظلموا الصيحة فأصبحوا في ديارهم جاثمين كأن لم يغنوا فيها ألا إن ثمود كفروا ربهم ألا بعدا لثمود. ولقد جاءت رسلنا إبراهيم بالبشرى قالوا سلاما قال سلام فما لبث أن جاء بعجل حنيذ. فلما رأى أيديهم لا تصل إليه نكرهم وأوجس منهم خيفة قالوا لا تخف إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم لوط وامرأته قائمة فضحكت فبشرناها بإسحاق ومن وراء إسحاق يعقوب. قالت يا ويلتى أألد وأنا عجوز وهذا بعلي شيخا إن هذا لشيء عجيب. قالوا أتعجبين من أمر الله رحمة الله وبركاته عليكم أهل البيت إنه حميد مجيد. فلما ذهب عن إبراهيم الروع وجاءته البشرى يجادلنا في قوم لوط إن إبراهيم لحليم أواه منيب. يا إبراهيم أعرض عن هذا إنه قد جاء أمر ربك وإنهم آتيهم عذاب غير مردود. ولما جاءت رسلنا لوطا سيء بهم وضاق بهم ذرعا وقال هذا يوم عصيب. وجاءه قومه يهرعون إليه ومن قبل كانوا يعملون السيئات. قال يا قوم هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم فاتقوا الله ولا تخزون في ضيفي أليس منكم رجل رشيد. قالوا لقد علمت ما لنا في بناتك من حق وإنك لتعلم ما نريد. قال لو أن لي بكم قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد. قالوا يا لوط إنا رسل ربك لن يصلوا إليك فأسر بأهلك بقطع من الليل ولا يلتفت منكم أحد إلا امرأتك إنه مصيبها ما أصابهم إن موعدهم الصبح أليس الصبح بقريب فلما جاء أمرنا جعلنا عاليها سافلها وأمطرنا عليها حجارة من سجيل منضود مسومة عند ربك وما هي من الظالمين ببعيد وإلى مدين أخاهم شعيبا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره ولا تنقصوا المكيال والميزان إني أراكم بخير وإني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم محيط ويا قوم أوفوا المكيال والميزان بالقسط ولا تبخسوا الناس أشياءهم ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين بقية الله خير لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين وما أنا عليكم بحفيظ قالوا يا شعيب أصلاتك تأمرك أن نترك ما يعبد آباؤنا أو أن نفعل في أموالنا ما نشاء إنك لأنت الحليم الرشيد قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي ورزقني منه رزقا حسنا وما أريد أن أخالفكم إلى ما أنهاكم عنه إن أريد إلا الإصلاح ما استطعت وما توفيقي إلا بالله عليه توكلت وإليه أنيب ويا قوم لا يجرمنكم شقاقي أن يصيبكم مثل ما أصاب قوم نوح أو قوم هود أو قوم صالح وما قوم لوط منكم ببعيد واستغفروا ربكم ثم توبوا إليه إن ربي رحيم ودود قالوا يا شعيب ما نفقه كثيرا مما تقول وإنا لنراك فينا ضعيفا ولولا رهطك لرجمناك وما أنت علينا بعزيز قال يا قوم أرهطي أعز عليكم من الله واتخذتموه وراءكم ظهريا إن ربي بما تعملون محيط ويا قوم اعملوا على مكانتكم إني عامل سوف تعلمون من يأتيه عذاب يخزيه ومن هو كاذب وارتقبوا إني معكم رقيب. ولما جاء أمرنا نجينا شعيبا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا وأخذت الذين ظلموا الصيحة فأصبحوا في ديارهم جاثمين كأن لم يغنوا فيها ألا بعدا لمدين كما بعدت ثمود. ولقد أرسلنا موسى بآياتنا وسلطان مبين إلى فرعون وملئه فاتبعوا أمر فرعون وما أمر فرعون برشيد. يقدم قومه يوم القيامة فأوردهم النار وبئس الورد المورود. وأتبعوا في هذه لعنة ويوم القيامة بئس الرفد المرفود. ذلك من أنباء القرى نقصه عليك منها قائم وحصيد. وما ظلمناهم ولكن ظلموا أنفسهم فما أغنت عنهم آلهتهم التي يدعون من دون الله من شيء لما جاء أمر ربك وما زادوهم غير تتبيب. وكذلك أخذ ربك إذا أخذ القرى وهي ظالمة إن أخذه أليم شديد. إن في ذلك لآية لمن خاف عذاب الآخرة ذلك يوم مجموع له الناس وذلك يوم مشهود وما نؤخره إلا لأجل معدود. يوم يأتي لا تكلم نفس إلا بإذنه فمنهم شقي وسعيد. فأما الذين شقوا ففي النار لهم فيها زفير وشهيق خالدين فيها ما دامت السماوات والأرض إلا ما شاء ربك إن ربك فعال لما يريد. وأما الذين سعدوا ففي الجنة خالدين فيها ما دامت السماوات والأرض إلا ما شاء ربك عطاء غير مجذوذ. فلا تك في مرية مما يعبد هؤلاء قبل وإنا لموفوهم نصيبهم غير منقوص ولقد آتينا موسى الكتاب فاختلف فيه ولولا كلمة سبقت من ربك لقضي بينهم وإنهم لفي شك منه مريب وإن كلا لما ليوفينهم ربك أعمالهم إنه بما يعملون خبير فاستقم كما أمرت ومن تاب معك ولا تطغوا إنه بما تعملون بصير ولا تركنوا إلى الذين ظلموا فتمسكم النار وما لكم من دون الله من أولياء ثم لا تنصرون وأقم الصلاة طرفي النهار وزلفا من الليل إن الحسنات يذهبن السيئات ذلك ذكرى للذاكرين واصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين فلولا كان من القرون من قبلكم أولو بقية ينهون عن الفساد في الأرض إلا قليلا ممن أنجينا منهم واتبع الذين ظلموا ما أترفوا فيه وكانوا مجرمين وما كان ربك ليهلك القرى بظلم وأهلها مصلحون ولو شاء ربك لجعل الناس أمة واحدة ولا يزالون مختلفين إلا من رحم ربك ولذلك خلقهم وتمت كلمة ربك لأملأن جهنم من الجنة والناس أجمعين وكلا نقص عليك من أنباء الرسل ما نثبت به فؤادك وجاءك في هذه الحق وموعظة وذكرى للمؤمنين وقل للذين لا يؤمنون اعملوا على مكانتكم إنا عاملون وانتظروا إنا منتظرون ولله غيب السماوات والأرض وإليه يرجع الأمر كله فاعبده وتوكل عليه وما ربك بغافل عما تعملون.
Oh, right. So that was a good one. I actually liked this chapter a little bit more than the last one. I will say that. I can see why, like the last chapter, this chapter was so, why this chapter was continued, because in the last chapter it just seemed like it was lacking like a real message. Not to judge the Quran harshly, I'm just stating like that's what it felt like to me. Maybe it was because I didn't connect too much with the story of Jonah too much. However, I did like the story. I mean, the story of Jonah, period, is a remarkable, legendary, beautiful story. I think the Quran touches more on like the more in depth part with what was going on in the midst of what's going on inside the whale with Jonah. So once again, sorry if my internet is acting a little funny, guys. It seems to be fluctuating. At the very end, it seems to start fluctuating. My gosh, which is kind of annoying. Hopefully, it does not disconnect or go through any kind of, yeah. See, it's starting to have issues. If we could just keep it above just a little bit longer. Come on, computer. Come on. Don't do this to me now. We're almost at the end. We're almost done. Come on now. One second. Let me Okay. Okay, it seems to be fluctuating again. Okay, seems to be perfect. Okay, sorry about that. It was a little glitchy and a little laggy at first. The stream is like fluctuating, or like the internet was fluctuating there for a second. Not too sure as to why. Okay, seems to be a little bit better. I pushed it forward a little bit so it could get the bandwidth a little bit better, clearer, because it is standing near my monitor. I mean my monitor with my PlayStation, so it's acting a little funny. So sorry about that. But nonetheless, the story of Jonah just seems like it went into a little bit of depth into as to like what Jonah's moments of like him realizing like the miracle and like the issue with him being stuck in this whale, and kind of a reflection, which was great. It was great. It wasn't something. It wasn't one of my most favorite stories as far as like the Quran so far, but I will say this one was much better, much better, because once again it kind of retouches on a lot of what the Quran's already talking about. How like there's this underlying theme with all the different peoples of the past. Like it seems as though like there was always like the people finally get on course, and then they get off of course. A prophet comes along, tells them to get onto course, and then they go off of course again, and then it seems like it's a repetitive cycle. And it kind of goes into even more depth this time, talking about as to like why like following the pagan ritual is not good, because it starts off by preluding that by talking about the pagan annoyances, challenging the pagans, talking about how like how they're gonna be the losers in the end, because we've shown them stories, we've given them proof, we give them stories, we've shown them proof, we told them that all you have to do is believe in just one God, believe in the messenger. So it's a very beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing, and I think like there's not something really more to add to that, except like obviously they go back into touching again with all the different prophets that once again had peoples of different places, and those people ended up meeting a terrible fate because of them not believing. Starting with Noah, then going on from Noah to, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's Hud. After going from Hud, then you go to Hud Hud's argument is talking about like why, why the stories of the past are important, and then it goes on to the prophet Salih, and then it goes on to the prophet I think it's Thamud. Am I saying that correctly? It goes to Abraham. Excuse me. It goes to Abraham talking about the good news to Sarah, and then it goes to Shuaib, and then it goes to Prophet Moses, and then it goes to Thamud, I think, right? Yeah. So, or no, excuse me, it's already Shuaib. That was the one. That was the prophet. But nonetheless, it touches on once again all the stories that are really beautiful. It touches on a lot of the different stories, as to like why it's important to not stray, and stay on the path of like just following one God and obeying the messenger and what he's been telling people, and why the stories of the past are so important, because they're important because there's still a theme here. Like there's an underlying theme every single time with people, which is kind of interesting, because if you look, I said this in a couple of videos already, but if you look at society now, especially here in the West, you see that there's so many different things going on that related to how the pagans lived their life back in the day. How, for one thing, we could talk about everything that honestly, like, which makes even more sense as to why music is haram, or why people believe music should be haram. Because like you look at the West, for example, one of the biggest industries in the world that make kind of the most money is the music industry, and like the corruption that goes on within the music industry. Then if you also look at alcohol. Alcohol is one of the main leading things that people consume on a daily basis beside any other drug. And then if you look at just the fornication part, when the prophet said there will be fornication between men and women, there is a lot of fornication here in the West. And people, because people don't believe that there should be some kind of moral standing on it. Like people give into their sins, or give into their desires so heavily, their lust, that then they make these stupid decisions, get into situationships or relationships that are really not important, or not essential. And then you look at how damaged people are now. Like, look how damaged men are from these relationships. Look how damaged women are from these relationships. Look at all of that. Look at that combined. And then if you also look about, I mean, even though I don't know, I think like this the back, the silk thing is a little bit of a stretch, because obviously in the East, the Chinese, the Koreans, they wear silk as a form of clothing, which is something that's very intriguing, because it's like, well, like, but if you were to kind of like take the silk part out and kind of like, I'm not trying to say like, change the hadith or anything, but I'm saying if you just kind of look into the underlying context of what he was saying at the time about the silk, he was talking about men wearing silk because it was like imitating women, and men will imitate women, and people, or just in general, men and women would imitate each other. You see exactly that here in the West the most out of any other country. And I think it's very telling, because it's like you just look at all these different proofs that have been said before and thousands of years ago, and you're telling me like this has not been an underlying thing for centuries on end. And it just seems as though like it's always a cycle. It's always a cycle. It seems to be a constant cycle. And it's very intriguing, because the more I think about it, like, so to segue the conversation a little bit before we end, you talk about we talk about simply just look at Buddhism, for example. So in Buddhism, like there's like this, or not in Buddhism, but there's a story in the East, in Chinese culture and Japanese culture. They both have the same story. It's a story about the Monkey King. I can't remember the name of the Monkey King, but like, so simply this Monkey King, who was like kind of like a lowly creature, he soon became knowledgeable. He read from the books of the ancients, and he became powerful. He got the golden staff and became very powerful. Oh no, my internet's fluctuating again. Come on now. Please don't do this to me. We're almost done. I'm almost done. I just gotta get off this last example. 1 second, guys. Come on. Come on. Come back to me. Come on. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Stay green. Just stay green. I only got like 10 seconds left. Like about a few minutes. Come on. So this is why I don't like streaming with the MacBook, because like the thing is, there's no Ethernet port. I would plug the Ethernet port in so the internet wouldn't fluctuate as much, because on Wi-Fi it fluctuates a lot, which is kind of annoying, because when you're on Wi-Fi, the internet is just crap, unless you have like the new 5G internet. Okay, so it seems that no, it went back down again, because the internet just wants to give up on me. And then it goes down again. If it doesn't fluctuate if it fluctuates again, I'm just gonna. Okay, let me just restart the internet. 1 second, guys. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, let me continue. I know people are probably going to leave out. We have a lot of people leaving out, which is fine. But if you come back to this video, if you come back to the live stream and realize that I'm still here, that's great. So I'm just going to finish off on this last thought, and then I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna read your comment in a second, Katat. I'm gonna read that in just a second. But so let me just finish off on this thought. When you look at the story of the Monkey King, pretty much he gets this knowledge, he gets the power of all the different kings before him, almost similar to the gods. He goes to the heavens and he actually eats from the forbidden fruit. And then after he eats the forbidden fruit, he gets sent back to the earth. He was causing mischief in heaven, and then he got sent back to the earth by Buddha. Buddha put him back on earth and sealed him up and put a ring around his head so that way he was limited with his power. He goes on an adventure and he finds out three different stories. He goes through three different lessons. And I can't remember specifically the details of each lesson because it's been a long time since I looked into the story. But pretty much he goes through three different trials, which these trials kind of teach him lessons about life. And one of the last trials that you look into is talking about how there's like this underlying cycle to things. Like the more like the worse things get, the more there's another underlying cycle. And like the last part of the cycle is that you learn to cut off this cycle by kind of detaching yourself from all the things of this world, all the knowledge, the power, the women, the the just the anything you could think of that's touchable, that's materialistic. You hold on to these things and you finally detach yourself, then you come to realize that, I mean, in Buddhism, or like, in that story, technically is literally kind of like receiving nirvana. Like you've detached yourself from these worldly things, and now you're finally free from like the clutches of the world. You're kind of like free from that, which kind of is telling because it's like, well, the more you think about it, it's similar to what the Christians, the Jews, and what the Arabs believe in, or Islam believes in, because it's like you essentially look at all these stories and see how people worship all the things of this world. They worship different gods, even if it's not just different gods. It's different things that they worship. These worldly things, like the material, the women. You praise another human being. Like you're praising all these things that are not related to God in any way, shape, or form. And then when you look at when you look at the very end of all of this stuff, like the story still remains the same. It just keeps popping up over and over again, and it feels like that is prophecy itself, which is intriguing. Like that's very, very intriguing. Like it's just like it just seems like you're seeing it unfold in front of your eyes, which is like very wow. It makes you kind of mind boggled because to me, I never looked at life that way before. I never looked at it in that perspective or that lens until recently, until Islam. And I will say, like, you just kind of just taking a second to think about that, it kind of it's disturbing, but it's also very beautiful because it's like you're actually seeing proof of this, and you're seeing proof of you're seeing proof in the West. You're seeing proof of what happens when you don't put God first, when you start worshiping, or you start literally putting all your belief and your utilizing other things as a crutch, like music, or if you utilize the icons as a crutch and look at how they do, you end up disappointed every single time. Because the thing is, even though these things are very telling in their real world, like that was something that that's constantly taught in Buddhism as well, but it's like the more you tend to focus on something that's in this world that's materialistic, and you put your value onto that and you start praising that thing, then you realize like how limited that thing could really be, and it kind of depresses you. And you see that a lot within people, and it's kind of I think that it's once again, it's very intriguing, very interesting, and I think like I want to be honest here. So to put this on the record, I hope somebody clips this in the future. I'm gonna put this on the record. This is something that I must admit that I'm having a hard time grasping myself, because I will say for a fact that I'm not a big materialistic person. Like I have my things, like I have my monitors. I'm more of a tech geek than anything. I don't place my value on them, but I still appreciate technology because it allows me to do these things here. But at the same time, I don't place my value on them. But I will say at the same time, in the back of my mind, I think because of the American dream, because of the dream of like you're placing your importance on this dream, this fantasy of like you can have all the riches of the world and make tons and tons of money, no more stress, no more issues. You can get whatever you want, go wherever you want, which I believe you can still technically do to a certain extent. But the more you tend to chase the worldly possessions, the more you become more worldly, and you detach yourself from the spiritual realm, which is something that scares me, and which is my biggest fear of all. And I'm putting this here on record right now in front of you guys, people that watch this back. That is one of my biggest fears of all. And it's my biggest fear because I have this song. So I wrote a song. So once again, I write music and I still write music. But there's something that I wrote in a song probably a few, like when I was about, not 15, when I was about 19 years old, 19, 20 years old. It was a song that I wrote, and it was called How It All Started. And something that I wrote in the song, which is something that I always just kept remembering in my mind, and even when I say it back to myself, it was so potent. But something that I wrote in the song was that sometimes I want it all, at times I don't want it. I just want to live my life and learn from it. But mine says I want the fortune, fame, and the money, but my heart says you can have it all, but it'll take from me. My love, kindness, wisdom, and all of my character is like taking every single dime out of a register. And that line that that line is something that is so ingrained with, even to this day. I still remember the verse, and I never put the song out. I wrote the song and I never recorded it. I never put it out, but I remember the words to this day. And that was one of the biggest lines that hold on to me so hard. And it's hard to tackle within myself because I feel like it's the reason why I don't progress, and it's also the reason why I continue to hold my mental sanity and my spirituality, because I feel it doesn't even matter, like, even if you start going to college and things like that. Like, even college, you're not even, think about it like this: people go to college, and like here in the States, and people go to get their degrees, which is nothing wrong with that. If there's nothing wrong with being educated and being successful and going for what you want in this world. But the thing is that a lot of people, there's so many people at the same time that just put their ego on a pedestal because I went to college and I'm educated and I have all this. I put my work in and all this other stuff. Or if they're not even graduated yet, they're like, I'm in college and I'm putting in all this work. There's no excuses. Like, you need to do all the same thing. You need to get on the train to be successful. I always sit there and I question to myself, like, why is it that because you go to college, you're supposedly better than me in some way, shape, or form, or like you put yourself in this position that you're better than me? When you go to college, I find it noble for people that go to college because they simply are passionate about what they want to do and they chase their passion, period. And then they have the same, and there's people I know that go to college and become successful, and they still will sit here and tell you to your face, like, bro, like, honestly, I wish if there was a way you can get educated and not have to pay for school and get the job that you want, I would do that besides going to college. Because college is one of the biggest scams of all time. Like, they feed you these, and once again, another reason as to why, like, it's insane, because it's like people, they feed, like, the industry itself, like just school and the music industry, whatever you look at, they feed on people that want to be successful, and they feed off of people. Like, not every single person. Some people are there to solely focus on their passion and focus on what they want to learn, and they're content with paying a lot of money back. But I personally don't want to pay back thousands, hundreds of thousands, 50,000, like, thousands of dollars in order to get an education for 4 years. But that's just me. But nonetheless, there's people that utilize their feed. This system feeds off of your insecurities, and I actually brought this up in a class, one of my classes. But this system feeds off your insecurity, and the more you have an insecurity, that system is going to purposely feed off of that. And it's insane how many people just go to college to appease their parents, or to or just feel content with the fact that after I get this job, this degree, that I'm going to be able to attain a career where I'll make tons and tons of money, and I'll be perfectly fine for the rest of my life. And it's kind of sad because, like, I think, like, I was just looking at, like, it was something, and I will say this. I was on this guy named Daoud Kim, and I've been looking into his life a lot recently. Been watching a lot of his content, and I was on his Instagram one day, and right now he's currently in Mecca, and he took Hajj and everything, and he was having iftar with different people and things like that. But then on his Instagram post, he had, like, shared something saying, like, is school, like, how expensive, or, like, not expensive, but does Saudi Arabia or Saudi Arabian universities teach you, have Islamic Arabic teaching classes? so that way you can, take and things of that nature. Honestly, I look at it, as soon as he posted it, I was very curious because I was told that actually school in the Middle East is free. I might be totally wrong, but I think they said that a majority of it is free. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder like if it is still free. So I started looking up high class or like, the top notch schools in Saudi Arabia. And when I looked up these schools in Saudi Arabia, they kind of taught the same kind of things. Like they taught like all the biggest things. Like they taught like chemical engineering, chemistry, lobotomy, not lobotomy. What is it called? I just lost it. It was on the tip of my tongue. Um, Not just engineering, chemistry. It also taught, I think it was architectural landscaping. It taught you a lot of different things that are are honestly one of the most difficult and also some of the most like hard and most advanced fields here in the States that you have to like work your butt off to get, to obtain. And I was just thinking to myself, like, yo, that's crazy. Like they actually have schools in different countries that are practically free, but they teach you some of the most advanced things. And I was just taking a moment to think to myself about that. Like just for a moment, I was thinking to myself, like, bro, like that's amazing. Like they actually have that in the Middle East. Like they actually have these things in the Middle East for you to do, and it's practically free. And and it's so sad because it's like, yo, bro, like you're telling me all these people are getting this education, and then they go to like the UAE or not Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, and they literally implement those technical skills, and they get paid really well, and like they have no struggles. They don't have to worry about all this debt for education. Well, they give my salam, thank you for stopping by, Mo. But once again, I went on a tangent there, but I'm saying all this to say it's kind of insane when you look at all these different evidences and you're technically seeing it unfold in front of you. Like you're seeing this all unfold, and it's like almost difficult to unsee now. Like, which is why I have not, there's been once again, I've had times where I've already started doubting the faith. Like I'm not going to sit here and say like for one thing I don't know. Like for a music thing, I keep bringing up music. I keep hitting myself upside the head with this, but I'm just using this as an easy example. Like even with the music thing, I don't think there's a underlying evil influence in music. I just think that there's a lot of people that utilize music in evil ways. And I think like that's like, and once again, I always bring up the fact that the prophet, when he had like the festival for Eid, like he still allowed the people to dance and the women to dance and also to play the drums around him, because things of that nature. And I was just like, but you said in another hadith it says that he forbid instrumentation and forbid all these things, but then and I mean, but if you're going to forbid instrumentation, that means you forbid all of it. So you can't just have a specific instrumentation that it's kind of like that's special, and because even if it's a holiday, you allow this instrument to be played. To me, I'm like, excuse me, my nose is like running a little bit. But I say all that to say I'm not trying to take this conversation left, but I'm trying to aim at a point here. My point being is that I think that there's a specific type of music that is perfectly permissible to play, which is the music that really does align with holy holidays that relate to God, or it takes your attention to God and not away from it. That's why I believe in the recent rulings where they're like as long as it doesn't, if as long as it's not profane and all these things, and as long as it leads you back to God, I don't see the problem with music. I don't see the evil influence in it, because it's the one thing that can lead, that's a physical thing that can lead to a spiritual thing. And it depends on where it takes your spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's where I find the beauty in music. Now, some people, once again, they utilize music in their ways to do some evil things, and they, like the music industry, like I said, like they exploit these artists. Like they have all these connections, and trust me, as a person that's like looked into this heavily, that's one of my biggest fears. It's like, I love music, but even with me looking at the music industry and looking at what you have to do in order to make it as a musician, all the things that you hear about how people have been cheated on, like not cheat, like they've been cheated, like they have their money practically stolen, they've had all these issues. You start to see the evil within the industry of music, and you start to see like what honestly what Islam is talking about, like, and which also leads people to say, well, if you sit here, like even Kanye West was talking about how he can make a song about Jesus and it won't get played on the radio. But people talk about all these other things like murder, selling drugs, sex, all these other things, and you make all this money. But if you want to talk about something moral, then it doesn't lead you to money. And it was something that I was just watching. There's like this little clip that I was watching on Instagram by, I think it's George Carlin, the guy, the comedian that passed away. He had said something very, very strong. Actually, let me see if I can find it. Maybe we can watch it and it will end right there, okay? I've been talking way too long. I did not mean for it to be this long. Let me show you the clip really quick before I end this off. And actually, okay, before we begin, but and guys, I'm just going to say this right now. Hold on one second. Let me find. I'm not talking about the religion part because the religion is not what I'm talking about. American Dream. I think that's the one. It's 4 minutes or 3 minutes. So we're gonna watch this really quick. There is a little bit of profanity in it. I will say that there's a lot of profanity in this. However, please listen to the main message just for a second. And once again, this has a lot of profanity. I know it's gonna have a lot of profanity, but just take a say Bismillah and and make sure that just make sure you're listening to the real message and forget all the profane language. Listen to this and listen to exactly what he says.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep.
My bad. I forgot that I had the mic on for a second there. Astaghfirullah. I'm sorry for all the foul language that he exuded, but he has a point. And with that point being said, you see exactly what that statement said. That statement was talking about how like they want people to stay asleep because the American dream, you have to be asleep to believe it, and it's true. And it's something that it's reason why I look at this country differently every single day. Because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, people are fighting for all these different things. They're fighting for all these particular changes. But the more you think about it, the more they're actually going with the liberals. Like as far as people that are with the liberal changes, like you see that they're making different policies, even for jobs. So that way it not benefits, but it aligns with what the liberals think and what they believe. And they're doing this purposely so they can get people to stay at the jobs and they don't get people fired simply because they're not aligned with a set of beliefs that's controversial today. And it says a lot about the society that we're living in here, and especially in America, in the West, in the UK, whatever, because we're feeding into that ideology. We're feeding into the fact that there's a problem with this world, and the problem with the world is that we're so focused on success, we're so focused on our rights, and we're so focused on like us being right all the time that literally that when you look at these different things, if you just take a second to really look at it, like you kind of realize that a lot of these businesses and a lot of these corporations just feed off our insecurity. And it's not to say that some of these corporations and these businesses weren't started on a fundamental principle of bringing some quality to life, like Apple. Like I will say, like, out of all, even though I will say for a fact that there's different, not try to feed the beast a little bit here. You have to feed the beast a little bit, at least for Apple. Only because like you feed the beast because it's like okay yeah they're raising the prices on everything due to the inflation of things and due to the demand of the technology, but at the same time their principles of what they started off on when it came to dang it, what's his name, Steve Jobs. When it came to his underlying principles of why he did this, is because he wanted to not only leave his mark on the world, but bring a technology to people to make their lives easier, make their lives a little simpler. That's an original, beautiful idea, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But at the same time, you gotta still take into account that this man charged an absorbent amount of money in order for you to have this product. But you buy the product in the belief that this is actually life changing, which honestly it was life changing. But why does and that's the thing that is like hard to maintain. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to balance with me. And I'm gonna end it off with this. This is something that's one of my biggest fears. Once again, and I say this all the time because like sometimes I'm so caught up in my head, which is reason why I entered Islam, because I'm so sick of being caught up in my head. I just need to say Bismillah. I believe in Allah, I believe in God, I believe that there is only one creator. I do not submit to the will of man, I submit to the will of Allah. And that's what I'm going to continue living my life by. Now, I might have to do some things in order to get to a certain point in my life to be successful, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my dignity and my beliefs in order to sustain myself. Now, once again, this is all subjective, and this is a very subjective thing because, once again, I use the Steve Jobs reference as a good example because I still believe that he did bring a good quality product to this world, and it's still utilized today. And a lot of people in different countries use it, not just here, but in different countries. And I believe that product was a good product because he created something that was beneficial to people, that may allow people to connect to one another, allowed these social media platforms to even thrive and flourish. And I think like because of that, you're seeing a beauty to it. But the ugly side is always still there because you know why? It's inevitable to discard the evil. And that was the reason why I posted the balance post the other day on my community part of my page. If you haven't gone there at all, you need to go check it out. But the whole point of that community part and me posting that there has to be a balance is because sometimes we're so focused on being right all the time that sometimes we don't take a second to realize that it's okay to realize that you're still human. And it's not to say go purposely make mistakes, but it's to say that sometimes you just got to take a moment to realize that we'll never be perfect. And it's not to say we should feed the beast, but it just means that we should balance what we want in our lives. Now, obviously, I want more spirituality. I want more love. I want God more in my life. So that's what I'm going to keep in my life. But unfortunately, to some degree, not all, that you have to kind of put your efforts back into the dunya, because when you take your efforts away from the dunya, then you lose that balance of the dunya versus the akira. And if vice versa, like if you put more emphasis on the dunya, you take away emphasis of the akira. So I feel like there needs to be a balance there. And I don't want to subscribe to just one, but I will say that I prefer keeping God in my heart at all times of the day and following the will of God and not the will of man. And though there's some things that are in this world that are corrupt, I feel like there's some things that may seem corrupt from from a bird's eye view, but sometimes when you look up close, you realize that some things that there's necessary evil. Sometimes evil is necessary, and sometimes we have to feed into it just a little bit in order for us to thrive in society and the dunya. So I say all that to say, once again, this chapter Surah 11, Hud, was very good. There was something that I did highlight in here. A couple of things that I did highlight to end it off, and what I highlighted was this one part. Let me just go back because this was very pertinent to what I was talking about. Talking about the winners. At the end of the day, we're the winners. The people that follow Allah, that follow the will of God, they are the winners. It says here in the 23rd of the 11th Surah that surely those who believe, do good, and humble themselves before the Lord will be the residents of paradise. They will be there forever. That's one thing that I wanted to touch on. And then when you go to the very end, it kind of feels like these two kind of like coincide. The very end, to God alone belongs the knowledge and what is hidden in the heavens and the earth, and to him all matters are returned. So worship him and put your trust in him, and your Lord is never unaware of what you do. Once again, guys, this is the best one of the better chapters. I like this chapter Hud, 11th Surah. That was pretty good. I love that one so much. I'm going to end it here, but once again, thank you for everyone that stopped by the stream. I will read the comments here just really quick. May Allah accept your fasting and your reward and your patience in paradise. May Allah reward you. Thank you so much, Katat. Thank you. Too much love from Syria, all the countries of the Arab world. Correct, Shoaib. I salute you for this knowledge of the religion. Thank you so much. No problem. Take your time. Thank you. All right, so I read all the comments. All right, guys, but this is all I wanted to talk about. I appreciate everyone that stopped by, everyone that's clicking back and watching this again. I once again didn't mean to make this super long. It was just something I really wanted to. I wanted, like, every single time I read one of these, it just has more emphasis on why I want to read more and why I want to talk about this more, because this is very important. And even though these are very basic and general ideas and thoughts, I want to dive even more into it because of these simple things. And yeah, honestly, I don't think there's much more to life than just that basic principle. But nonetheless, it was just great. I appreciate everyone once again for stopping by. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and love to y'all. Catch you in the next stream.